Thomas, it's up for grabs now! Thomas!
Magic ball from Bergkamp to Patrick Vieira!
Oh, would you believe it? Oh, right, what a way to get it!
Fabulous solo goal by Thierry Henry.
Champions.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Arsenal Lounge. It's good to be back, and this is the curtain raiser, shall we say, for the new season that starts on Friday. And I've missed these guys. I say these guys. Mo hasn't even turned up yet, but
He's coming.
He's coming. But in the meantime, we got Tom from Granit Talk TV as usual on our Monday show. How you doing, Tom?
Yeah, good. Glad the new season's upon us. Glad we can get that underway and answer some questions, hopefully. There's plenty of questions I think we've got, so it'll be good to see if we've got if we answer them in the opening stages.
Yeah. Well, there's loads of questions to be asked. I mean, there's been a lot of positives. I mean, we don't want to go into it just quite yet, but I mean, how's your summer been so far, mate?
You're busy, so mad busy. No, I've not had a holiday as of yet. A holiday's in September, so it's just been straight through working pretty much every single day and getting stuff done. Speaking of people taking holidays,
Hey, and there he is. He was ready. He was ready for this. Bang on it. How you doing, Mo?
Yeah, I'm having a bit of a nightmare. So heads up, everyone. I'm the reason why we're doing it at a different time today because I can't.
And then he's late as well.
Yeah, and then so I'm the one that's like caused us doing it from 6:30 from 8 o'clock, and then I totally forgot in my head. Oh yeah, 8 o'clock. So I'm a muppet. I'm an idiot, and it's made me think. Obviously, not starting from this occasion, but for the rest of the season, I think lateness to podcasts should have a 1-point penalty on the old predictions table.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. So you want it after today?
Obviously.
Yeah, obviously. Oh, yeah. Great. Nice one. Okay. Well, look, I mean, Shaheen can't be involved in that because he's not going to be here for a month, is he? So for those in the chat, I know it's going to break your hearts not seeing Shaheen for 4 weeks, but you'll have to make do with me for now. But how's your summer been so far, Mo? I was asking Tom the same thing, so I might as well ask you.
Yeah, it's been nice. Look, ultimately, there's no Arsenal to ruin it. And then from what we have seen of Arsenal, actually, they haven't ruined it at all. Even when they have come back, it's been really positive. So it's been good. Weather's been a bit inconsistent, but hey, look, Arsenal have been consistent. So I'll take that.
Well, there you go. And just like the Arsenal shirts, the weather map was red. But anyway, we'll discuss that another time. So look, what I wanted to do first, it's been a little while, obviously, since we've spoken. I missed you guys. So I wanted to sort of get a gist of how you feel the pre-season's gone so far, because I will say this, my criticism of Arsenal regarding pre-seasons over the years is we never seem quite ready every time the season starts. I'll have to say this for once, although I still think personally, and we'll touch on this in a bit, that I think we need 1 or 2 more incoming. I do feel for once that this team actually looks at it, and our team looks actually ready for the season so far. The team we have. So, Tom, I mean, first I'll come to you. How do you feel the pre-season's gone so far?
Yeah, it couldn't have gone any better. To be honest, it's everything you want from a pre-season. It is always going to go with the caveat that it is just pre-season. It only matters what happens on Friday, but we've built up some momentum. And particularly we've talked about the players being integrated. You can't, on one hand, moan that Arsenal don't do business enough, like early enough in the window, and then start saying that pre-season isn't important, because the whole point of doing business early is to use pre-season to integrate the players that you sign early in the window. So we need to make sure that we give pre-season the respect it deserves and what it needs, because if we don't have it, it can have an impact on the start of your campaign. So you bring in Jesus, you bring in Zinchenko, and you've got them integrated into the team. Jesus has hit the ground running brilliantly. We've brought players back into the fold. We've got a clear starting lineup. I think for that game against Palace, there's no real questions about who's going to start in those games. The team that started against Chelsea and started against Sevilla is probably going to start, against Crystal Palace. And we've got 5 very winnable games to open the campaign as well. And, if we can get a win at Selhurst Park, that'd be a huge boost to go into the rest of them.
No, I tend to agree with you in certain aspects, especially when it comes to Jesus. I feel the sort of Sanchez energy he brings that we've been lacking for a number of years. Mo, how have you been feeling about the pre-season so far, mate?
Well, let's go back to, like, let's say the Orlando game. I thought, first half, I feel very different now than what I did at halftime in that Orlando game. By full time, I thought, oh God, what this is telling me is our first 11 versus our sort of second 11 or our reserve players. There's a bit of a disparity there. Then in the Chelsea game, and I thought, oh, bloody hell, we forget anything else. Just what I saw of our football, I thought, bloody hell, that was good. Yes, friendly, and yeah, Chelsea went at it, blah, whatever. But we played some really good football. And now that compounded with Sevilla, I'm starting to think like, bloody hell, actually, I'm excited. I really am excited. And Arsenal have caused that excitement. I wasn't excited earlier on in the preseason, but I certainly am now. So Arsenal have almost created this situation now where we're going into that Palace game expecting something good. We're expecting
dangerous, isn't it?
It kind of is. It kind of is because they are completely different. And I'll tell you one thing, right? In the preseason games, we battered Chelsea 4-0 and then we demolished Sevilla 6-0, right? I actually think, when you go and win by a scoreline like that, 4-0, 6-0, and you look at it and you think, well, not even competitive, I often try and think to myself, look, is this because of how good we were or how bad the other team were? And I don't know if you guys will agree with this, but actually, I think the 4-0 win against Chelsea was a lot more impressive than the 6-0 against Sevilla.
Agreed.
Because when I look at that and how that game started, how Chelsea put themselves about, you could see in Tuchel. Jorginho, before the game, said there's no friendly when it comes to Arsenal. The players were saying all the right things, and it felt serious. It felt intense. The pace at which that game was played felt like Chelsea were there to, let themselves be known. Versus Sevilla, where I felt like they put up no opposition and we were 4-0 up in a flash. It was a Chelsea game where I felt like our football that we played was in the face of actually a real attempt to disrupt it, and we overcame, where we came up against real physicality and we just dealt with it. That's actually the game that got me excited. But this game, bolting onto that, is what sort of cemented it. And yeah, I cannot wait till Friday.
Oh God, as I said, it's the hope that kills you sometimes with this club. But I'm excited too, not going to lie. Tom, who are the standout players for you so far in this pre-season?
Well, besides Jesus is obviously the obvious candidate.
That is the obvious one.
I think there's been some really, really strong performances from William Saliba. I think he's been absolutely brilliant.
He's not conceded a goal in 282 minutes.
Well, I mean, he's just composed, isn't he? Like, he's fast, he's quick. I love how quickly he gets back and recovers because, the way in which Arsenal play, you can get caught on the break quite often. You can see long balls played in behind to try and catch Arsenal, and his pace just means that we don't necessarily have to be as worried as we usually do. So he's been very impressive. Sambi Lokonga's got himself a fair few goals and assists in pre-season as well, and I think actually maybe has slid under the radar a little bit to the amount of goal contributions he's got because he's played in a slightly more advanced central midfield 8 position. If that turns out to be a role that he plays more at Arsenal, well, if he's going to score and get as many assists as he has done during this pre-season campaign, that bodes very well indeed. The other players, of course, I've liked what I've seen of Zinchenko so far in just a couple of appearances that we've seen. I think he's added a lot. I think Tierney is going to find it very, very difficult to displace Zinchenko from that left-back spot this season, depending on where, of course, Zinchenko ends up playing. Maybe he goes into midfield. We don't know, but I think he's looked really, really good. Saka, of course, has got plenty of goals and assists. Eddie Nketiah has got on the score sheet a number of times as well. What I would say about him, though, is that it's night and day with Eddie Nketiah when Jesus is and isn't on the field. When Jesus isn't there, Nketiah looks a little bit concerning. But when Jesus is there, Nketiah just comes alive and is a completely different player. If he can apply that same, energy and quality when Jesus isn't there, I might not be as concerned about when Jesus isn't around on the field, but that is certainly something to be looked at. I think also Xhaka's had a very good pre-season. I think he's looked very solid.
That's one, Tom. I'm glad you said it because not a lot of people have. And actually, do you know what? Last season wasn't a bad season for him. Absolutely wasn't. He cut out a lot of the bad parts of his game. Not completely eliminated. And don't get me wrong, I still think we can easily go and sign someone that's better than him. But this pre-season, he's been one of our better players. He got a brilliant assist.
Chelsea.
I can't remember what game and who for anymore. And then the ball to Martinelli, when Martinelli assisted Nketiah.
Yeah.
Again, Xhaka. And you know what? He's had a really good pre-season. So credit where it's due.
I'm glad you actually said, though, guys. I was going to ask the question, like, would you, if you could replace him with someone a bit more sort of dynamic, shall we say, whether you would. I think, Mo, you've answered that question. You probably still would. I think Martinelli's been great. Martinelli was brilliant against Sevilla. Obviously, I have my doubts as to how good Sevilla was in that game, like Mo suggested. I do want to ask to get into this Zinchenko thing, because I think he's a good signing. We were complaining that we don't have strength in depth, and I really do think he's a good signing. But if Tierney's fully fit, what is, in your opinion, guys, what has Zinchenko been brought in for? Has he been brought in to be a left back, or has he been brought in to be a central midfielder?
I think left back. Personally, I think left back. You know, we absolutely need cover there, and I think it's pretty clear, given that who was our left back cover last season? Nuno Tavares. As soon as Zinchenko's come in, Tavares has gone out on loan. I think that's a very obvious clue. But that versatility is obviously part of it, because we also know that our central midfield cover isn't the best that it could possibly be. And we also know that Thomas Partey injury prone, Kieran Tierney injury prone. I'd say primarily left back, hence Tavares going, but certainly midfield is part of the reason why we signed him.
Okay, Tom, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. I think he will be used mainly as a left back. You know, there's a lot of talk about how, I think there was all these reports about how he doesn't necessarily want to just be used as a left back. He likes playing in midfield. But, you know, in those interviews he did when he arrived, all he said was, I'll play wherever the manager wants me to play. And that's what you want from a player, is that he's not, I don't necessarily like using the word cover at left back. I think he's a competitor, you know, at left back. I'm fed up of backups at Arsenal. You know, I want to see players come in that we've got two really good options in every position. And I think Zinchenko does that. I think perhaps left back went under a little bit of the radar about how important it may end up being to have invested in this summer. And Zinchenko adds not only quality and versatility, but leadership and character. I think his personality is great. You know, I think that kind of person in the team, another Premier League, multi-Premier League winner for us, another Premier League proven player, is really important. So, yeah, definitely a big plus for the team.
Well, can I just add as well, I mentioned in previous shows that I felt that if Saliba came back, he'd be a starting centre-back, right? Now that you guys have seen him performing, do you think that's the case?
Go on, mate.
Well, he's certainly good enough, but as a manager, it's not... I mean, look, you can view it this simplistically, but it's not necessarily all about just playing the best players all the time. You have to work in partnerships, and I don't think we've seen enough of Saliba with Gabriel, Saliba with White, to know whether that constitutes a better partnership than Gabriel and White. Just because you can pick two really good central defenders doesn't mean they're going to complement each other. You need one to be more assertive, more aggressive, the other one to be a bit more reasoned and kind of like tucking behind at times to bail them out. You also need one that's potentially left-footed, right-footed. You also need one potentially that's a better ball carrier versus a ball passer. There's various things that you need to consider here, and you have to understand how they can adjust to each other's games. And also there's something to be said about the fact that overall, I'd say Arsenal fans were generally happy with Gabriel and White last season. You might have an idea of who shades it for you, but all in all, I think their levels were good enough. So have they done enough to be dropped? Because that, to me, is another thing that the manager has to do. I expect by the end of the season, Saliba will be perhaps our first choice centre-back. But I think maybe he needs to go through the motions of earning that place rather than it just being given to him.
I think the hand might be forced a little bit, though. With Tomiyasu injured at the moment, I think he'll go for White out right back. So then I think he'll inevitably have to start with Saliba, and that could be something that gives Saliba the opportunity to grab it first, you know, by the scruff of the neck and make it his, really. No?
Absolutely. And the other benefit to that could be that, you know, if we were to say to Saliba, look, you've got to earn your place, and Gabriel and White are doing brilliantly, at the end of this season, he's only got 1 year left in his contract. In a way, it helps Arsenal out if he's getting regular game time and, you know, he feels like he's first choice, because then he might be a bit more inclined to sign. So, you know, it's not that I'm saying I want Tomiyasu to be injured. Of course not. But that could be one of the quirky positives to come out of that.
I think we've also seen, you know, Tomiyasu in particular was the type of right back that he is. He's more disciplined. He doesn't get forward. He's not a Trent type. He's the complete antithesis to what Trent Alexander-Arnold is. And I think one of the benefits of us signing Ben White as a versatile defender is that you can operate in that right back role and pretty much mirror the style that Tomiyasu gives to us. So last season, of course, we had Holding, when we didn't have White, and there were games last season where we did use White at right back and Holding and Gabriel played in the middle, but we lacked something because Holding doesn't give you the distribution and the confidence that the likes of White or now Saliba can do. So the potential that we've got with, we talked a little bit about right back. Do we need right back? And I'm not sure that right back is an area that we really need to worry about next season, because we've got Tomiyasu, we've got White, we've got even Saliba has played right back for Marseille, on loan. And Cedric is still there too. And Maitland-Niles is still for the moment here. And, me and Mo go back and forth about Cedric and Maitland-Niles as right back options. But, I think that the White and the benefit that we're going to get from him being versatile enough to cover that right back role, whilst we've now, of course, got Zinchenko is playing in kind of this inverted fullback kind of position, that balance is still there. And that's something that we didn't necessarily have at the end of last season.
Well, I'm just going to answer, put Wayne's super chat on. Thank you, Wayne. You're always here, mate. Thank you again for the super chat. It says Xhaka has been a much better player under Arteta simply because of the way he's been used further up the pitch and closer to the opposition box. Do you agree with that, gents?
Well, yeah, I think to an extent, Xhaka, the thing that has always bothered me about him is this sort of lack of defensive awareness and discipline. I don't think he's the best marker. I don't think he's the most switched on. When he actually has to play out of position left back, I feel like that focuses his mind so much. He's actually always fully concentrated, and I think he's done fairly well when he had to fill in there. But that's what you get when you're playing out of position a little bit. You're almost like paranoid about making a mistake, and that paranoid aids concentration. It's when he's comfortable in centre mid, playing close to his own box, that I feel like sometimes those frailties come out. So perhaps, yeah, it's a good theory as to why he might have been performing a little bit better with Arteta.
No, I just thought sorry, Tom. Sorry, I just thought I'd mention to everyone in the chat who keeps asking where Shaheen is. Like, Shaheen is away for a month. He's gone back to Iran. Whether he makes it back or not, I don't know, but he is out there right now. So you'll have to make do with myself for the next few weeks. So apologies for that. Sorry to cut you off, Tom. Were you saying something? Or...
No, it's just that, Shaheen called the window a 5 out of 10 so far and then ran away. That's that's what he did. So
I don't think he did that. I mean, look, the first prediction's actually today, isn't it, for the Palace game?
So has he given you the prediction?
No, he hasn't. So I'm going to have to text him on that. But moving on a little bit, as we're still on the subject of sort of, the players that have done well and the players that have come in, we're also, I'm under this impression right now that although we've made some good signings, I gave it a 6.5 at the time, Tom, just to let you know. And the reason I did, it was. The only reason I did that is because I still feel we are one injury away from having problems in that central midfield with Thomas Partey. And the other thing for me was I still have reservations, it sounds like you do as well, in regards to Eddie Nketiah, in the sense of if, for God forbid, Jesus gets a knock, then we've got only Eddie to fall back on. And that, but they'll be looking at wingers. I read one of your articles today, Football London, great article, suggesting that, it's dependent on a few things. Players going out. We know that Leno's going potentially. Tavares has gone on loan. Torreira looks like he's going. We're waiting to see what's going on with Bellerin. I think it was Nkunku's gone as well. I think he's gone on loan.
Yeah.
Now we've got the situation with Pepe. Ainsley Maitland-Niles Torreira's salary wages at the moment is totaling what, 6.6 mil? You said, right? Is that right?
Yeah, so Maitland-Niles and Torreira would, 6.6 mil for a season between.
And that you were suggesting that that's what's holding up any other potential moves at the moment, right?
Yeah. So the idea was that, so the piece was around the theory that should Arsenal really risk not, trying to move on £6.6 million worth of wages as a blockade to stop us from going for Tielemans now, when common sense, in my view, is minded for me to say, no, don't let that be a blockade. Go and get Tielemans. If it's a case of, Torreira, who looks to be going from the sounds of things anyway, from the news that's dropping in the last couple of hours or so to Galatasaray, and we actually, we'll end up getting a fee. It was the idea that I don't even care if £6.6 million worth of wages sits on the sidelines for a season if it means that we can get Tielemans in. I don't see the benefit or the excuse to not do that, because it's a quality player that adds a lot to the midfield. So it bothers me that we haven't. But the only other argument to why we haven't necessarily is because Leicester's asking price is significantly higher than maybe we're led to believe that it is.
Mo, I'd like to ask you about that as well. How you feel about those areas needing, whether they need addressing in your opinion, and also just to throw in the mix. I've also heard Bellerin, Edu's going to meet with the powers that be to suggest that we terminate his contract and just let him go.
Wow. I mean, crazy, absolutely crazy. When you consider, Tom and I were just talking about our right-back options, and I reminded him of Mason Maitland-Niles. Even I forgot about Bellerin, for God's sake. It's crazy. When you think about, he was a part of the Cesc Fabregas transfer when Fabregas went to Barcelona. And when we got him, and remember short-hair Bellerin, when he broke into the team as an 18-year-old, we felt, all Arsenal fans felt like that's our right-back sorted for the next 10 years, 10, 15 years. Like, he was so young. And we just thought he'll be one of the best right-backs in Europe. To think that same person now is now going to be potentially released just for free, no value, is crazy. And I mean, surely we can get something from him. He did well at Betis last year. So I don't understand why after a decent loan spell, we can't attract any fee for him. I think I would rather keep him in the squad, keep him in the team. He's actually a player that I'm proud to have at Arsenal Football Club in terms of what he does off the pitch, and to some people that doesn't matter, but I really like the guy. I'd rather have him as part of our team. And I'm sure that when he does play, he'll give it his all. I don't feel like he's a bad professional. So that's sort of like one area. The other one is when you look at Torreira going as well. I'm glad we're getting something for him, but it's a much needed outgoing. There's rumours now as well that Fulham have agreed a deal for Bernd Leno. When we're talking about areas of the pitch where we don't have enough cover, and you're talking about midfield, where actually we've got Partey, Xhaka, Zinchenko, Elneny, Maitland-Niles, Lokonga. At least we've got some options, whether you think the right level or not. But in that goalkeeper position, Matt Turner.
That's Carl Hines' third choice. He's the third one.
And Runeson's still there, isn't he?
Oh, Runeson, yeah, you forget about him.
I choose to forget about him, Tom.
You can imagine if we get an injury to Ramsdale, it will be panic stations.
That's a good
what I would say though to that is that when you look across the league, Liverpool played City in the Community Shield. Adrian is their backup, and he was pretty poor. It's very difficult to have a good number 2 goalkeeper. Like it's difficult to find that. I think Man United have got a decent option in Tom Heaton. Dean Henderson's of course gone on loan because he needed minutes. Manchester City have got a couple of. They brought someone in this summer, I think, didn't they? And they've added someone to their team. Stefan's gone on loan to Middlesbrough, so they brought someone in, I think, for the season. I think Chelsea are bringing in that guy from the US because Kepa could be going out to somewhere, I think, in Italy potentially. It's Kepa is the best obvious choice as a backup, but he cost Chelsea £75 million.
That's insane when you think.
Whilst Matt Turner is, you'd look at him and say, I've got questions, but I'd point to pretty much 99% of the goalkeepers who are second choice in the Premier League and say, I've got questions about them as well.
But what I would say though is the fee that we're getting from Fulham, rumored to be about £8 million or something? Is that worth taking the risk of having Matt Turner in goal for a prolonged period of the season?
I think that Leno didn't really, it's difficult, isn't it? Because you're saying that we basically tell Leno you're not going anywhere.
Couldn't we have promised him like Europa or something, guys? Like, early stage Europa? Or...
I think he's interested in just being, the second choice. I think he wants to play because, of course, it's a World Cup season. So, he wants to play regularly at a team. So, and I think the club have turned around and go, you sat on the bench for the whole of last season. You've been a good servant. We'll allow you to go.
I guess that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Mo, thanks for that. You've given me something else to worry about now. I didn't really think about the goalie situation. Now you're giving me that too.
Yeah, but look, it's all good, the club being really nice about things and saying, you can go on free, you can go, we'll terminate your contract and stuff. But especially in those key positions, like goalkeeper is not a position that you can afford to, tread lightly on, because that's it. It's one person, you know. It's not like and others. We're talking about Zinchenko. He can play left back, he can play centre mid. You never ever say about any signing, oh, they're versatile. Maitland-Niles can play centre midfield, right back, and goalkeeper.
To be fair, our youth goalkeeper came on up front the other day for the under-21s. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he did. We ran out of subs and someone got injured, so we had to come off the bench and go up front. So yeah.
So look, the point is, I just think that it's got the potential to derail our season. One moment for Ramsdale can derail our season. You know, there was a Spain goalkeeper once, was it Canizares or someone, who basically missed the World Cup because he dropped a bottle of fragrance on his foot. You know, like anything can happen, right? I do not want to take that risk with Arsenal season.
So I feel the same about the central midfield area. I know you say we've got a lot of cover, Mo, but the problem we were concerned with last season is the drop in quality when you looked at the squad in depth, right? Obviously, they've addressed that with the left-back situation with Zinchenko, who can also sort of play central midfield when you need him to. But I don't think if we lose Partey, I don't think there's anyone in that team right now that is anywhere near his level. You know, Xhaka, he's not mobile. He's not like Partey. El Neni, he's done all right, but he's definitely no Thomas Partey. And Lokonga has the potential, but he's not quite there yet. So, I mean, for me, it is a real concern. And also, I still stand by the fact that I think we should have got another striker in. But I don't think that's going to happen now. But, Tom, I'll ask you this question. Are we also on the lookout for a winger? Is that still a thing?
Yeah. I think the wide forward is the other area. I think central midfield and wide forward are the two positions that we could potentially strengthen between now and the end of the window. I think if Arsenal get two players in, that's going to be the two positions. Who they'll be, you know, Tielemans seems the most likely in the midfield, but the wing option is very difficult. The obvious answer maybe is Cody Gakpo, but I genuinely, it's very, very difficult to see who that is going to be right now. But we'll have to wait and see. And it depends on Pepe's future as well, of course.
I mean, do you guys genuinely believe that we 100% need a winger right now? Because I personally would rather they address the central areas. Because, look, if they really wanted to at a push, Jesus can play wide if you want to play Eddie. You've got Martinelli. You've got Smith Rowe. You've got now Vieira, who's been bought. He can play out wide and he can play in a 10. You know, you still have Pepe right now, although we know, you know, he hasn't really performed for the club. But for me, it doesn't strike. I've never felt that it was an area that we really desperately need. Yes, it will be a luxury, but I don't know. I mean, Mo, how do you feel about the wing area? Do you think it's a necessity over the central midfield area?
You've taken the words out of my mouth, Lev, to be honest with you, because I feel like, yes, I would obviously like to add, because when we're talking about those wingers, you know, Pepe, unfortunately, I don't think that when we think about him coming on, necessarily inspires a lot of confidence. Reece Nelson, look, you know, he's not that young anymore.
No.
He's not sort of like an up-and-coming prospect that we're going to bank on. Vieira and Emil Smith are absolutely at the level, yes, but given the amount of games that we're going to play next season, probably 50 plus if we ever, you know, if we get to the latter rounds of the Europa and don't capitulate in the domestic cup competitions, we are going to need a big squad. And on top of that, there'll be injuries. I do want to see a wide forward come in, but that's not my priority. As you've said, there's plenty of options there. Goalkeeper, if Leno's going, absolutely priority. Centre midfield, another priority. Prior to signing Zinchenko, left back was a priority. So, yeah, that would be lower down on my list of people that I want to sign. And that's, you know, to me, we've spoken about Tielemans, that's significantly more important. That, for me, is the key, that centre midfield spot.
Any news on Paqueta as well? I mean,
No,
that's
not happening.
Nothing at all. That's not happening.
Edu wrote it off himself. He said he likes the player, but we've got a lot of players who play where he plays. So,
but then that rules out, that doesn't rule out Paqueta. That rules out signing central midfield.
No, because Paqueta is an attacking midfielder. He plays more off of the striker than as a number 8. He can play as an 8, but you're not going to get any kind of defensive. Well, that's unfair. You will get some defensive.
Pretty decent defensively,
but he isn't a centre mid. You know, he is an attacking minded player. Paqueta. I mean, think Manchester City potentially are looking at him to be Bernardo Silva's replacement. So that gives you an idea of kind of what player he is.
And any news on the injury to Vieira? Is he going to be back anytime soon?
I can actually tell you that Lee Judges was with Fabio.
God,
Vieira
he's seeing everyone right now, Lee, isn't he? Every time you look at him, he's taking a picture with someone else.
Yeah, he posted a picture of Vieira. So I texted him and said, "Did you ask the obvious?" And he said yes. And he said he's back in full training next week. So there you go.
So it shouldn't be long then. That's good news. One
time I actually get to name one of my sources because it's Lee Judges in this case.
Oh God, Lee! Don't let Lee hear that you're now calling him a source because well,
if he goes directly to the player, there's not exactly get a better option than that.
I see him hugging Edu nowadays and all sorts. Like he seems to have all access everywhere now. So maybe Lee is going to become our main source for everything. That's going to be interesting. Okay, so look, I mean, we've got the game coming up at Palace. Now, this is the thing. I'm not going to lie to you. I've chosen not to get too excited with preseason because yes, it's been a good preseason, but you guys know that it's different when the Prem starts, and it's not an easy place for Arsenal historically of late to go to Palace, Selhurst Park, and with Vieira as well. They've had a decent preseason as well. How do you guys see the game panning out, and what lineup do you expect to see? Because I know, we've discussed. Do you see Saliba starting, for example? What's your take on what's going to happen on Friday? I'll start with Tom.
I think it'll be the same team that played against Chelsea and Sevilla. I think that's why he's gone with those two teams. I think that's also why we saw as many stay on the pitch as long as they did. We didn't make too many substitutions in that game because I think he wanted to give them, as much as a run out as possible. I was just while you were talking trying to search out what business Palace have done. They brought in Chait Doucouré from Lens, who we were interested in.
Yeah,
and I imagine we'll still be following him and his progress at Palace. Chris Richards, who I don't know much about, they signed from Bayern Munich. Sam Johnston, the West Brom goalkeeper, they brought in. Malcolm Ebiowei. Butchered the pronunciation.
Spoken like a native, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, he's English Dutch, I think, according to this, right winger, played for Derby. They brought him on a free transfer, only 18 years of age, but I think he's played in pre-season a little bit for them. I think did they draw with Manchester United in pre-season? I think they might have done. They beat Montpellier the other day again, 4-2. Zaha scored a very decent goal. So, they're no mugs. I'd rather be playing Sevilla on Friday than Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park is a very difficult place to go to. But I think that they are missing the likes of Conor Gallagher. He was massive for them when they beat us 3-0 last season.
He was the best player on the pitch that day.
Easily. So that's a big, big loss for them. And there's that motivation to beat Arsenal, as there always is for any team. But I think Arsenal go into this game much, much better prepared with two starting fullbacks. I know White isn't our number one, but I have much more confidence in him than I would Cedric starting like we did. I have much more confidence in Zinchenko starting over Tavares. And we've got Saliba coming into that back line as well. Plus Partey will be there, we assume. And he was, I think, came off injured during the game against Palace as well.
Yeah, he wasn't there, yeah.
And Gabriel Jesus, who is just brilliant. So I am much more confident this time around than I was last time, that's for sure.
Okay, well, I'll hold fire on the predictions just yet. And you guys in the chat, hit the likes, please, if you haven't already. Subscribe if you haven't already as well. And in maybe the last 10 minutes or so, save some questions. I know I've seen loads of questions in here. Why not hold them back and then you can ask in the last 10 minutes of the show, and feel free and we'll see which ones we can get through. Mo, how do you feel about the Palace game coming up on Friday? I know you're excited over pre-season. Is there anything in you that gives you sort of like a slight nerves and thinking, you could be knocked off your perch all of a sudden on Friday?
Yeah, of course, man. I think if you don't feel like that to a little extent, you haven't been watching Arsenal for long enough. We always know we've got that in our locker to just self-destruct a little bit. And the reality is, even if we are 2-0 up with 10 minutes to go, I'll still be nervous because Arsenal have just got that in their locker. But I do think we'll win. I really do. No, little fly here. I do think we'll win. I'm looking forward to it.
You guys to the game?
I haven't got a ticket yet, but I'm working on trying to make it happen.
Okay.
If only I knew someone that was like a journalist or something that could maybe pull some strings. But
I can't get you in the press box.
Oh, man, can't I be your caddy? I'll carry your notepad.
You can take minutes for him. Yeah, you can take minutes.
But listen. So I'm really looking forward to it, and also because it's an opportunity to for Arsenal to sort of stick two fingers up to Sky, or I actually don't know if it's on Sky or BT, I imagine it's Sky, but this is not a conspiracy that I'm talking about here. It's just like, I think they would admit it to you. The broadcasters would admit to you that when they look at the fixtures and they get to pick what fixture they want as a Premier League opener, they want a bit of shock factor. They want a story. There's no point in them picking a game where the favourite wins and it's a given that the favourite's going to win. I think they want something that will get, the world talking. And everyone knows that, if you want to get people talking, you pick on Arsenal because our fans are very vocal and they're very sizable on social media and that sort of thing. So last year they did it with Brentford. Brentford, first time in the Premier League, brand new stadium, the world's eyes, desperate for Premier League football, will all be on this one game, no other game being played. And they've just repeated the same formula again. Palace, obviously not a promoted team, new stadium and everything, but Palace, you've got the dynamic of Vieira against Arteta. Arsenal, London derby, away from home on the Friday. Everyone's looking forward to Premier League football, all eyes on that. And they're doing that because they sense an upset. If someone said to them, oh, by the way, Arsenal are going to get a regulation 2-0 win in that game, they'd be like, okay, we'll pick another game. I guarantee it. They'll pick another game. So that's what they're after. Arsenal have done everything right so far in terms of, getting a team together, transfers done, playing good football, a good preseason, looking sharp, to actually not let that story play out. That's what I'm hoping.
That's what we're hoping. Just to address something here, Sherjan, keep up, mate. It was only like a couple of minutes ago. I said, in the last 10 minutes, you get to put the questions in the chat box and we will get through as many as we can. And then literally a minute later, you ask if we're going to be reading the chat box. All right, so I hope that answers your question.
So sassy. You can tell why you've taken over from Shaheen with the sassy.
At least I'm smiling and I'm positive. There you go. Actually, there is something I do want to discuss. Mo, I hope you don't mind. Obviously, I don't know if you guys in the chat box as well, Tom. I don't know if you watched Mo's.
I've watched it. Yeah.
I want to discuss this because Mo, obviously, you was buzzing after that game. Sevilla, right? Sevilla game, and I could see in the passion in the chat and the video you was filming, and then there's a few people that mentioned it in the chat. That's why I thought I'd bring it up. So halfway through your video, you're sort of accosted by a steward who decides he's going to prod you in the back and ask you to stop and whatever, and he starts getting a bit aggressive with you, mate. I've got to say, I was quite appalled by that. I mean, how are you feeling about it since? I mean, I don't know if anyone in the chat's seen it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really, really annoying. And, basically what happened, long and short of it, you can go and watch my post-match reaction on my YouTube channel if you want to see kind of how it unfolded. But the long and short of it is that I'm doing my match reaction. And the thing is, when I want to do my match reaction, I want to do it in the stadium. That's the scene of the whole conversation, right? So you want to do it there. But the problem is when loads of people are trying to leave the stadium, it's, you're going to be getting in people's way who are trying to squeeze past you. There's stuff going on, the tannoy music being played. You have to wait a while for it to be the right time to do it. So what I try and do and try and find that balance. In fact, actually, I went inside first. Then they started playing music and loads of fans came out. So on the concourse, it was too loud. So I actually went back outside. Loads of other fans were out there. It was fine. And I started doing my recording. And I saw out the corner of my eye, a woman steward come up to me in the distance and say, "You've got to go." And I just kind of said, "All right, just 1 second." I didn't want to ignore her, just acknowledge her. Just 1 second. I thought I'd just finish off my point and then I'd go elsewhere and do the rest of the video. In that time, they obviously got a little bit impatient. And this guy then thought he'll come and take over. And what he did, he walked over. And as I'm filming, you can't really see it, but he's come and prodded me in the back on more than once. And at that point, I've stopped the video and I said to him, "What do you think you're doing? What's wrong with you? Why are you prodding me in the back? Don't touch me. Don't make physical contact with me." There's so many ways that you can deal with that. Ultimately, I'm filming content. If he comes up to me and says, "Sorry, sir, stop filming. You need to leave the stadium," now, it ruins my content anyway, right? It's very, very simple to just use that method to basically say, look, this content's not worth you filming anyway, but instead of invading my personal space and making contact with me, and especially in an aggressive way like he did. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to fall off the flipping tier because of what he's doing, but it's just very rude. You would never treat anyone like that in any sort. Imagine being in a post office because someone's not moving forward in the queue, you'd never prod him in the back to get him to do what you want. You just don't do that to people. So I took exception to that. And then I was annoyed by it. And his body language and the way he was around me was like very antagonistic, very confrontational, to the extent that he was up in my personal space. So I said to him, look, I'm just not happy the way you're treating me. At that point, immediately, I felt like there's more to this situation than meets the eye. And I felt like there's something about me that he didn't like. And,
wow,
you know,
that's
usually, you know, I'm 38 years old. You learn to pick up on that. And when you are an Asian guy, sometimes it's because of that. I can't distinguish whether it's because of that or whether maybe he knows me from YouTube and other things, or maybe he's got like a real dislike for people that do that sort of vlogging thing in stadiums, whatever it might be. There was something to it. And I don't know the answer. I don't know what it was, but there was definitely something to it, because I really can't imagine like a nice, pleasant old lady being treated like that, being prodded in the back the way I was. And when you draw that comparison, I think it's hard to really argue that he would have done that. So let's say someone like a brilliant fan like Maria, who's like passed away recently. I can't imagine that she would be treated in that manner. God rest her soul. And there shouldn't really be a difference in age or gender or race or anything like that. So I was very annoyed about that. So I said to him, look, you know, I'm not happy with the way you treated me. I want to take a picture of your badge so I can take it further. And he refused. And I said to him, listen, look, if you want me to leave, give me your boss or your badge, one of the two, and then I'm out of your way. Like, this whole situation is over as soon as you give me your boss or your badge. So you decide, and that's all I need from you. And then what he did, crazy, he was really close to me, like very much in my personal space. And he said, do you want my badge? Here you go. And he put his badge right there. And I shook it right in my face. And you don't get that in the video. You don't see that in the video, but this is actually what he did. And I'm talking about literally an inch away from my face. So we were shaking it in my face. And I said, what do you think you're doing? And he goes, well, you said you wanted to see my badge. And I said, no, I didn't. I said, I want to take a picture of your badge. So how am I going to take that picture, like when your badge is here? And I said, you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be that disrespectful. You shouldn't be losing your cool. And then you can see in the video, he walks off and swears at me as he walks off. And I've said to him, what's wrong with you? You're on your job. You know, like keep calm, keep your cool. Anyway, so I've walked right up to the door and I've said, listen, I've stopped recording. I'm happy to leave, but I'm not going to leave until you give me your badge or your boss. That's all I want. As soon as you do that, I'm going to comply with you and I'm going to leave. And he threatened to call security and that sort of thing. And in the end, didn't follow through with that. And then finally let me take a picture of his badge. So after that, I said, that's absolutely fine. Now I've got that, I'm going to walk away. So I wanted to diffuse the situation a little bit. There's no point in me subjecting myself to that sort of treatment anyway. So I was in block 45 at club level. I walked to block 44 because they had the doors open. So I was going to film just outside the doors, which is fine because they want people outside the seats, but I wasn't going to go into the seats. And then he took it upon himself to follow me and shut the doors.
I saw that bit. Yeah, I saw that bit. Didn't he budge you out of the way when he was doing it?
No, that was outside block 47. So before that, I've gone from block 45 to block 44 just so I can have a view of the pitch. But he just shut the doors just to be petulant. So I was just like, what is up with this guy? And I laughed. I was like, this is just so petty. It's ridiculous. So then I walked past 45 again to 46 to 47, looking to see if there was an open door. There wasn't. So I was like, fine, doesn't matter. I'll just do it outside block 47 where the doors are closed. But I did it just outside the doors. He's followed me. So this is where I've complied with what he wanted. He wanted me to walk away from where the seats were to go inside. Now, bearing in mind, the bars are still open. There's hundreds of fans still inside, dotted around, doing what they want. But when I've gone outside block 47, he's had an issue with that. So he's walked up to me again, followed me. I'm minding my own business now, diffused the situation, and he's walked behind me, but in front of the door, and then he's like nudged me. You can see his arm go like that.
Yeah, I saw that bit. Yeah.
And you can see my reaction on video where I've said, like, what are you doing?
I've never seen a steward act like that in my life.
And I said to him,
not an Arsenal steward.
I've said to him, like, don't you realize this is all being recorded? What are you playing at? What are you, like, desperate to have a fight or something? What's going on with you? And eventually, another steward came up to me and said, what's the problem? I said, look, can I have the supervisor? He said, why do you want the supervisor? And I said, because I've just been, like, nudged. And it's not on, like, you know, so I want a supervisor. And then he's basically, I don't know what's happened here, but then he's basically...
Everybody's just shuffled around.
Yeah. And then as he's talking to me, thankfully, another fan basically said, look, I saw what happened. It's unacceptable. I don't know why he's sort of being victimized like that. And at that point, I felt like that other fan sticking up for me gave me the vindication that other steward needed to believe me. So then he's gone and called his supervisor. And the supervisor and this other guy that came with the supervisor were brilliant. They were absolutely sound.
Did they give you a reason? Did they apologise to you? I mean,
yeah, they did profusely. They really did. And I said to them, "It's not for you to apologise. It's this other guy." But that was it. And so then they took it further. They did say to him they're going to have a word with him. And I need to decide whether I take it further with the club because I don't want to impact this guy's livelihood. But the fact of the matter is, because I don't know why I was mistreated, I feel like I should do something about it because I don't want someone else.
I wasn't aware until you told me after that when he first approached you that he was prodding you in the back. Because for me, that's a terrible way to approach someone. You're going into their personal space and you're being physical with them, and that's antagonizing you as well, straight off the bat. And then the funny thing was, he comes and does it, and then complains that you've got him on camera and he wants you to stop filming him. And then it was just, I've never seen anything like it. I like to hear what the guys think in the chat, but I mean, look, his name was what? Philip, did you say?
Yeah,
or
Philip.
He's definitely a Phil, isn't he? Let's be honest. He's not a Philip. He's a Phil.
Yeah.
But I think you should complain, mate. Personally, if he's manhandled you, then I understand you're a nice guy and you don't want to sort of impact his livelihood. But that was on him. You're a paying customer.
Because I don't know why he treated me the way he did, right? Either way, it's like a form of discrimination if it's to do with what I look like, or it's a bit of discrimination based on what I'm doing, the fact that I'm vlogging. Now, one of those is like, a very minor form of discrimination against vloggers, who gives a crap. But the other one is more serious.
Yeah.
And if he said to me, I'm sick of you vloggers, I would have been like, oh, right, okay, not a big deal. But because I don't know what the cause of his reasoning was to treat me that way, on that basis, I feel like, actually, do you know what? I don't want to take the risk. Maybe I do need to do something about it.
And he might do it to somebody else. You just never know, man. Yeah?
Exactly, yeah.
All right, well, look, I mean, Tom, you saw it. I don't want to. You don't really need to go into it too much. But
look, I want
to hear your thoughts on it.
I've been told in the ground to stop filming. I remember I did a vlog. I don't do that type of content typically, but it was just one time I did like a vlog to the ground because I was going to one of the games, and as Mo says, it gets quite loud, and if you're recording, you don't want the music in the background because of copyright purposes, obviously. And I was filming and got told to stop, but when it happened to me, someone just said, "You need to wrap things up now, mate." And I was like, "Yeah, no worries." And I put my hand up just like 1 minute, and after 1 minute, I wrapped up and just went inside. So that's happened. I mean, another incident with Stewards that we've had a Mike from the Gooners pod. This happened with him. We were sitting in the final, like the back row of the stadium, right at the back on the top tier. And we were standing up, like you get people doing in the North Bank all the time. And we were told to sit down, and we were asking, well, why do we need to sit down? It's because, and they genuinely, this isn't a joke. This actually happened. They turned around and said, well, the people behind you can't see. And we looked around to like the open air behind us, like, what people? We're in the final row. It's just, I think it's not, I don't want to brandish all Arsenal stewards. It's clearly an individual basis thing. It's an individual
100%.
person.
I used to be a steward when I was a youngster. So
I think there are unfortunately some instances where some individuals take that power a little bit too far, and that's it. So yeah, look, I feel like if Mo feels that he was in any way, treated unfairly, then absolutely take it wherever you need to take it.
And when the supervisor came up, I spoke to the supervisor at length, and I said to the supervisor that, you know what, we've been standing here talking for a long time. Had Philip walked over and actually proactively just said, look, do you know what, I'm sorry, I lost my cool, I would have shook his hand and just said, do you know what, it's fine.
No, he carried on.
Had he proactively just apologized, I would have absolutely been like, fine, listen, we all make mistakes. But the fact that he didn't, I just thought was a disgrace. And when I mentioned the first woman who first initiated to me that to stop filming, and I just said, just like Tom described he did, I just said, just 1 minute. I just want to finish my point and not disrupt the video, and then I was going to go inside. She could have done a bit more. She could have diffused the situation when she's seen him prodding me, putting his badge in my face, getting in my personal space. She could have just said, like, okay, look, let me take over and something. But instead, she doubled down on his behavior and she sort of defended him. And, when that's happening, you kind of think to yourself, like, as a fan, if you retaliate, if you react in that situation, that's it. You're banned. Simple as. And I think they're aware of that power dynamic, that they you can't really do anything. You can't kick off too much or get aggressive, because then that's all they need. And then you're the bad guy. So it was very hard for me to keep my cool and be assertive and not get in trouble myself. And it just annoyed me that he was like, antagonizing me to that degree.
No, mate, listen, I'm sorry you went through that. And you know what? At the end of the day, if you do what you need to do, mate, and I just had to bring it up. I've never actually seen that. And just very quickly, someone is suggesting that this is a wimpish conversation, and that's someone called Sweet Munchkin. I'll leave that there. Anyway, now 10 minutes to go or whatever it is. If you want some questions answered, stick them in now. I'm going to be pushing you guys, going back to positive notes, hopefully, in regards to this season's predictions, guys, because I am coming back with a bang here, because I'm still hurting. I'm not joking, right? I'm still hurting. And I'll see you guys eating steaks, and I don't know, some of them had like, ice, smoking ice and all that, and I was paying for all of that. So I'm still hurting about it. So I'm ready for this season's prediction. So I'm going to start with Tom on this. Right, you got the game, Selhurst Park. You know what happened to us last season over there. How are you feeling about it now? And what is your prediction, mate?
Yeah, I'm feeling good, feeling positive. I can't not start the season off optimistically. So 3-0 Arsenal, mate. Easy peasy.
Good hell. No messing around. He's gone straight in with a 3-0. Okay, and Mo, what's your prediction, mate, for this weekend's game?
3-0 is a big prediction. I
It
think
is,
2-0.
it's huge.
I think 2-0 Arsenal won't be quite as good as what Tom is suggesting, but yeah, I feel like Palace have got a really good set of home fans. That's one interesting dynamic here. I think
great atmosphere there, isn't
brilliant atmosphere. Maybe the best / joint best home fans in the league, in my opinion, as my experiences as an away fan. And they will be first game of the season, fully behind their team, under the floodlights, welcoming Arsenal. So it will be a tough one. But I think I'm going to trust Arsenal to keep a clean sheet and get the 2-0. And there's one question I want to ask, but let's do the predictions bit first, and then I'll put that forward.
Someone suggested that the reason Shaheen's left is because there's been too much positivity at Arsenal recently. I think that's brilliant. I asked for questions, and everyone's just giving me predictions instead. Well, look, we're on a tight schedule today, so if we don't get the questions, we've had them all through the podcast. I asked for questions, and everyone's giving me predictions. Okay, I'm gonna go with a 2-0 Arsenal win as well, guys. I'm going with a 2-0 Arsenal win. I think with Saliba at the back, we'll have something a little bit more. I just think he's got that covering behind him. He's got a bit more pace at the back. I think it'll be really suit us. And also, listen, by the way, Odegaard, I think he's been brilliant. Yeah, and I keep
my ears up there,
mate. Listen, I keep telling Shaheen this because Shaheen doesn't rate him, and I just don't understand. As a footballer, you could see the quality in the lad, and he's starting to really come along well. So I do see a 2-0 win, and with Jesus up front, I just think that someone mentioned he's the closest to Ian Wright that we've had in a while. That sort of guy that he knows where to be when the ball drops in the box. He's always there. If you look at a couple of goals at Sevilla, the goalie spilt the ball, he was there.
He just follows everything in, doesn't he?
Yeah, he just follows everything in. It is instinctive. So I think we're going to win 2-0 as well. I will go with that. Couple of quick questions. That's a good question. Thoughts on Odegaard as captain? How long do you think he will be captain for? We've had such bad luck with captains in the past season. Seems cursed. Tom?
As long as he's here, to be honest. I mean, the only times we've seen people lose the captaincy is if they've left or if they've breached disciplinary, regulations. And I don't see Odegaard doing that, to be honest. So I imagine he will be the captain until he moves on, whenever that would be. So yeah, you're in for the long haul with Odegaard captain. It's Shaheen's delighted. Oh, by the way, I did get a phone call just a second ago from Shaheen. He said 2-1 Palace. So,
he called you?
No, I'm joking.
What? That's a piss take. Quick question for you, Mo. Why get Tielemans, asked Saki Hassan, when potentially Lokonga could be better than in 1 year's time?
Because Tielemans definitely is better now. You're saying Lokonga could potentially be better than Tielemans in 1 year's time. And you can take the time and you can take the potential out of it. Tielemans for now, and I feel like this is a very important season for Mikel Arteta because the players are his. He's spent a lot of money. He's had enough time. There's no excuses now not to go on and deliver. So we have to cement that. We gambled in January. It didn't pay off. We now need to see Arsenal really show some ambition. And I don't think Lokonga is necessarily the guy to lead us to where we want to get to this season. He hopefully will be in a year or two. But, I feel like if we can get Tielemans, 25-year-old with over 100 Premier League appearances for about £25 million, it's a no-brainer to go and do that.
Fair enough. Well, look, we've run out of time because I know that you guys have to go. See some weird comments in here. I'm not going to give them the time of day. Anyway, so look, the predictions are 2-0 Arsenal win on Friday from me, 2-0 from Mo. Tom's gone in really ballsy. I don't know what he's drinking over there, but he has gone in ballsy. 3-0 from Tom. I will let you guys know what Shaheen's in. Please hit the likes if you haven't already. Put your notifications on. I will be doing some more shows this week. And also we'll do a review after the game on Friday. So on that note, anything else you guys want to say before we go?
Oh, good. Just looking forward to the game on Friday now. So
excited. Oh, and massive congratulations to the Lionesses yesterday as well. Massive. Yeah. I mean, go on, Mo.
Before Friday, I can't flipping wait for All or Nothing on Thursday.
Oh, yes, All or Nothing on Thursday. Yeah. And Tom, one last thing. I may have annoyed Sophie a little bit because I suggested in one of my tweets yesterday that there's loads of women's sport. I love the boxing. I love the UFC. I mean, there's been some amazing fights over the last year or two. And I suggested I'm not quite as excited about women's football as I am about normal football. And I don't think she liked this. So please apologise on my behalf to her. Just to let you know that.
Will do.
Wait. Did you say women's football versus normal football?
Basically, I said I don't.
That's what you just said.
No, what did I say? I don't find it. I've given it a go, and I don't find it as exciting as I do other football. I mean, look, I wouldn't watch Championship. I wouldn't watch Sunday League. I wouldn't watch. Do you know what I mean? It's just a preference.
But do you know what? Any England fan, right? I'd rather just watch the team that I support. I'd rather watch them win, and that's what the Lionesses did.
They did, and I watched it regardless. So also, anyway,
Arsenal got two captains, not just Leah Williamson, but Rafaela. I don't know, I can't remember her surname, but the Brazil women's captain who led Brazil to Copa America women's glory. So two winning captains for their countries coming back to Arsenal.
Hopefully that continues through to the men's team and we are successful this season. So look, on that note, we're going to go. It's been the Arsenal Lounge. Excited to be back. See you soon, hopefully with some positivity after a great result at Selhurst Park. We're out of here.